All right. Tell us about yourself.
My name is Nonda Houston. I am ordained with the Assemblies of God. I'm the women's director for Southern California. Married and have 4 children.
And what did you do before you were the director for the
My
assembly?
husband and I were lead pastors at San Jacinto Assembly of God for 22 years.
Wonderful. And what would you say are some of the things that have really worked in discipling others?
Um, I really think that small group element is you have to find the way to circle up people in smaller places where there is more intimate and more intimate venue, where there is a little bit deeper level of teaching, where there's accountability, and where there is discussion, especially to grow in thought um, and throw around thoughts and um, chew on them for a little bit, not just a free place to ask questions.
Okay. What are some things that you've tried that have not worked in discipling people?
Um, well, um, I think that anytime that you try to find somebody else's program and go, oh, look at, we're going to insert program into our, environment, and that was a backfire every time. And I believe that God let that happen because I fully believe and persuaded that there is a blueprint, a strategy for each individual church about what that looks like. And so that's one of the main things that always went south until we figured out, hey, this is the thing that we need to do. This is how we're going to walk it out, and this is the timing of it.
What kind of resources would you recommend to someone who wants to um, develop better discipleship programs or situations?
Um, I think it depends on um, the approach. I mean, there's so many different ways to circle up people. Sometimes those things happen. Like for instance, I'm just going to talk about like lots of different ways, but like we did things like on a Wednesday night, everybody meet together and then break out into smaller classes, um, or even in a main auditorium, worship and all this stuff together, and then break into smaller tables for those kind of discussions. We did that men and women, which I think is most effective, actually. Mixed company is great, but men and women learn differently and need to be mentored by each other differently. And to me, not just because I'm the women's director, but because I think women ministering to women, men to men, I think is probably the best case scenario. And so in that case, most of the time, I think, I mean, there's, in a way, this sounds bad, but it's my 2 cents, right? So in a way, I feel like the resource almost doesn't matter. Like, pick a Bible study, pick a book. I mean, as long as it's meaty enough to dissect and shows pathway to sanctification, to knowledge, and growing about the Word, not just a fluff thing. It Because there are certain dynamics that happen when you circle up a small group, when you have somebody who is a facilitator of a group, when there's free flow of discussion, when there's trust that builds, and learning that happens in that environment, and prayer and everything else. Then, um, and I know material does matter, but to me, that's kind of the easiest part.
Could you talk a little bit about mentoring type relationships?
I strongly believe in mentoring. Um, I think in the local church, if that's a context that you're talking about, correct?
Yes.
In the local church, I've seen a lot of attempts. I myself attempted different things, kind of. But in my perspective, my seat that I sit, I visit many, many churches. I know many women's leaders or, different pastors, 430 churches in our network. So a lot all over the gamut of how they run their church. Um, but there are situations where people team up very methodically. You, person A, are teamed with you, person B. Um, and that can work. But I think, again, going back to the discipleship group or some smaller place, um, um, or even let me just say this, like at a again, because this is how I'm wired, so forgive me for this frame of reference. But when there's a women's gathering at a local church, then having those is there's so many reasons to, and I'm getting back to the mentoring thing because that's where friendships grow, and when a mentorship can grow organically, that is the best case scenario, I believe,
Yeah.
because there's somebody that is saying the things I see in you, I want to learn how to do that. I want to please show me um, instead of groping around for I don't know what are we supposed to talk about and how are you supposed to or if it's just going one way, just I think you need to learn this. I mean, when there's a free flow of it and a natural ebb to it.
That's good. I think you just changed my life with those sentences.
Oh, really? Wow.
what what would you in a mentoring relationship does how would you say would age play a factor?
That's the typical way to go is
Hmm.
the older mentoring the younger, and that is pretty standard, I would say. I mean, that's been always who I've been attracted to. I want an older woman, a more mature, somebody who is on a path or has characteristics and qualities that I'm after, that are lacking or that I need help with. Um, it does feel like natural because it's almost like a daughter mother kind of relationship, and I think that does work best. It doesn't have to be age, because there's a lot of people who are older who just don't have the spiritual maturity. um, but again, it's going to that connection. If people are too close in age, I don't know how good peer mentoring does. That's more like just growing together in friendship. But a true mentoring relationship probably does have to do more with some space in between, which gives a different perspective, even the former generation for me, and how they even look at my generation or where I'm at and objectively.
All right. Well, thank you, Nanda. You answered a lot of good questions there.
You're